Hey guys, Zan Thomas here, XT Properties, doing another quick video on one of my blog posts. This one is discussing what to do when you inherit a property. Typically, this can be a tough time, especially when you are losing a loved one. And especially if there's a lot of emotions tied with the property. But it is something that you are going to have to deal with, and just going to throw out 8 tips to make sure you check on in order to make this inherited property work smoothly. Tip number 1, first thing, is that you want to make sure there's no mortgage or what the mortgage situation is on the property. If their mortgage is up to date and there are just payments that need to be made, you want to make sure you're aware of that. If the mortgage is past due, you want to be aware of that. If it's paid free and clear, again, you want to be aware of that. So make sure you check the mortgage status of the property. Second thing is a lot of folks think about using an inherited property as an investment property, renting it out. But a good rental property is only as good as the manager. So if dealing with toilets or light bulbs or air filters, all that kind of stuff, if that's something that you're not interested in, especially if you are inheriting the property. You should have enough. You should have enough cash flow in the property if you're going to try to rent it out to hire a property manager, and it's going to cost you a little bit. But if it's not something that you're interested in dealing with, then it can be a great investment in having a good property manager to make sure everything stays maintained, deals with the tenants, deals with finding new tenants, all those things. So, good property manager is just as important as the investment in making a good investment. Another thing then to think about and to check in with the check on the home when you do inherit it is that ownership does cost money. So especially if it's a home that you've not lived in or spent a lot of time in, could be worth getting a home inspector to come in, take a look at the property, look at the age of the roof, foundation, all the major appliances, and just see what is it going to cost to keep up this home. If the home's kept in great shape, then you can kind of prepare for any upcoming expenses. But if the home's got some major repairs coming up, it may not be something that you're going to want to hold on to because it could end up draining your cash down the road. The other thing to think about too is if you think about selling your home. Tip number 4, think about selling your home. Selling a property for top dollar also costs money. So if this is an older relative that you've inherited the property from, and if a lot of the decorations, the decor of the home, if everything is out of date, it's going to cost money to update that home. And if you don't have the cash on hand to update the property, to list it on the market, to sell it for top dollar, then you might want to start looking. You could look at options of finding a home buyer like myself, an investor, who we primarily look for homes that need work, and we are happy to buy those types of properties, sell it to us, and then we can do the fix up on that as well. And another thing I've talked about, so we're in the middle of dealing with the coronavirus epidemic, and I'm getting a ton of calls right now of different people wanting to sell their homes. Obviously, I'm in between the Triangle Triad area. Triangle especially is one of the hottest, fastest growing areas in the countries, and people have owned homes for years that are now worth quite a bit of money. And we do have a lot of folks that are calling trying to sell their homes now because they're not sure what is going to happen in the next couple weeks. And one of the things I have told a number of people, because government agencies are shutting down, office buildings are shutting down, supplies, workforce, all sorts of things are up in the air. So selling the home right now has already played an impact on the price. There's a little bit more risk. So even as investors, we're pricing in that risk just to make sure we're still covered if things continue to get worse. So what I've told a number of folks that have owned their homes for a number of years is if it's not costing them a lot and they can afford to hang on to it, it might be a good idea just to hang on to it. Or if you're in a neighborhood where that is kind of starting to turn, even if you don't have the cash to fix it up right now, property taxes are cheap and it's easy for you to hold on to. Might be worth just holding on to for a little while and let the market do its thing, let things grow, let things pick up a little bit, and then decide to sell then. So that could be another option. Another thing that you're going to want to check out is Uncle Sam's cut. So especially you want to check the property taxes on the property when you inherit it, make sure all the taxes are up to date. But as you start inheriting property or selling property, you're going to make sure you're working with some sort of a tax professional to make sure you've got everything taken care of on the tax side of things. You don't get a letter from the IRS later on down the road. Another thing you check out is your lease options, or let's say if you are looking to sell the home, you could do some sort of a lease-to-own agreement where you could, someone could rent the home, but rent-to-own type situation. So instead of selling the home up front, you could look at a lease-to-own option where you can get some payments, some cash over a period of time, then one lump sum. So it may not be the best situation for everybody, but it's also an option to think about when you're trying to figure out what's best to you. And then the other thing too is do some good comparisons, especially if you're looking at selling the home or renting the home. Selling the home as is versus fixing up the home. Might be worth having someone come out, take a look at the property and give you an idea of what's it going to cost for me to fix up the home and do a comparable, whether, will I make more money selling now, or is it worth fixing up and selling later? Then the other option is, look at your numbers if you rent the property. So if I rent the property over X amount of years, will that bring me more income than selling the home now? So you want to make sure you compare all your options to make sure you're doing the most profitable situation for you. So I hope that was helpful. Of course, you can read more about it on my blog post. And if you have any more questions, you can always reach out. My name is Dan Thomas, XT Properties. Call, text, email, and I'd be glad to help. Thank you, and have a great day.